Okay, hello, Stephen. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. So, tell us a little bit about you, your company, and what it is that you do.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to be here to chat with both of you and tell you a bit more about Provenance and my own story, how we built this from the onset. We're Provenance, and I'm Stephen Greitzer, and I've been a wedding officiant now for the past seven somewhat years. And I'm not a professional officiant. I'm certainly not a clergy member. But I've had a breadth of very close friends and family who have asked me to officiate their wedding. And each time they've asked, it's been one of the greatest honors of my life to be up there with, close friends and be a part of this critical life milestone. But I've also found it to be a huge challenge where I would spend weeks and weeks stressing out about how to devise a wedding ceremony that felt traditionally legitimate, spiritually resonant, personalized, unique, customized for the couple, perhaps secular but doesn't offend grandma, and is actually good in front of a crowd of 200 people. And as I started preparing for my first few ceremonies, I realized there was just really nothing out there to help you prepare for this big moment. Perhaps some Mad Lib style templates, but nothing that really felt like a conduit to the personalization and customization that the couple really wants for this fast of their wedding weekend, unlike everything else. And as I started developing my own process, more and more others were asking for the same. And it became apparent that today a majority of couples are asking friends and family to officiate rather than clergy or professionals. So about a year ago, myself and our scrappy team, a whole startup, started developing a variety of digital tools to um, make this really meaningful and challenging personalization process a bit easier and a bit more manageable. So we've developed today a ceremony builder, a vow builder, and a toast builder that helps the couples, the officiants, and their guests design meaningful and personalized wedding ceremonies, vows, and toast.
This is so cool. um, because, okay, oh my gosh, I'm really excited to dive in this topic with you because we've chatted with professional officiants who have kind of lamented the fact that as an art form is sometimes lost when you gain the intimacy of having, a familiar friend or family member do it. They might have all of the love for you in their hearts, but they really might not have the skill set or the template to actually like have create a ceremony that is as meaningful as the couple might want. And also, you said toasts, and my eyes lit up because as a photographer, I'm often capturing the toast moment, and sometimes that goes really wonderfully, and sometimes it could have maybe been improved by a product such as yours. So, I'm just curious, like, um, tell me a little bit about how you see couples, clients using your products and how you're getting your product out to the world.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful for that reaction because it's really how we see it as well. The ceremony, the vows, and the toasts, these are often the most important speeches we give in our lives. And you can love someone so deeply, you can know someone so intimately, it can be such a big part of your life, and you might have so many things you want to say in these moments. But the art and science of writing a speech and delivering a speech is something that doesn't necessarily come naturally to all of us. 75% of Americans claim they're more afraid of public speaking than they are of death. It's a really terrifying moment. And if we were to have a tradition that instead of giving a toast, you had to do a dance or play an instrument, we of course would be taking classes and practicing and finding a trainer or a tutor or something to prepare for that. So it certainly makes sense that for this high stakes speech, we use resources and tools to help us do the quality of the job that we aspire toward. So the way in which a lot of our tools work is we simply take all of your own authentic love and memories and stories and help you coalesce that into an eloquent, high quality speech. So that's where we're really starting. Our toast builder is being used by bridesmaids, groomsmen, parents of the brides or groom, house. The vow builder is being used by both partners. One extra element of the vow builder that I really love is beyond just helping you develop the vows itself. It also tells you what their relative length and tone is, so they can ensure that they feel balanced with their partners. And then the ceremony helps you stitch together every facet of the wedding ceremony, from the welcome dress to the pronouncement, declaration of intent, and a library of readings and rituals. So it's pretty versatile in allowing you to develop a truly authentic wedding ceremony. And now the way we've been getting it out there is through a breadth of different marketing tactics that we've been trying to develop further. Certainly word of mouth has been huge for us, as our couples are often going to other friends' weddings throughout the course of the year as well. Wedding planners have been an incredible partner for us too, as we seem to be solving a real need for wedding planners as well as for the bride and the groom and the rest of their guests. And that, I'm sure, as you have experienced, you have a couple who a week before the wedding are all of a sudden scrambling and saying, "Oh my God, I need to pull together this wedding ceremony." Do you have any prior examples that I could plagiarize or anything else I can use? And now this is a service that wedding planners are able to extend to their couples and say, "Hey, we're going to help you customize the ceremony as thoughtfully as you customize every other part of your wedding."
Yes, and I will certainly elaborate on that. So Provenance was brought to my attention from one of my like wedding planning communities. So my business coach actually like had them in and did a training where they introduced us to this product, and I was like, oh my gosh, no, I have to chat with them and I have to sign up for this and all the things. Because as you mentioned, as a wedding planner, we do have couples like, case in point, at my July wedding, like the bride's like, my brother is going to officiate for us. He became ordained so that he can officiate our wedding. I'm going to connect you in an email to them with him, and like he can ask you all sorts of questions. So usually when you're working with a professional officiant, like my conversations with them are the logisticals of like, will you be at the rehearsal? Will you be at the ceremony rehearsal? Who's giving? Is anyone doing a reading? Or like, what's the flow of the ceremony? What is your wording so that I can let the photographer know when the kiss is going to happen? Because sometimes it's like after the pronouncement and sometimes it's after that if it's like a longer mass. So I'm like, like give me those logistical things. And so that's what I'm used to having a conversation with a ceremony. More and more often these days, I'm having a conversation with someone who's like, what the heck do I do? Like, can you, like you said, do you have a script that like a previous ceremony that you can send me, and maybe I'll just like change some of the wording around? And I'm like, now I'm left in an uncomfortable spot because one, I want to be helpful. I'm the planner. They came to me for advice and tools and, service, but also I'm like, I can give you one of my vendors like scripts that's a proprietary information. I can't like forward that and pass that on to you. Like so now I'm in a bind and I'm just like Googling, like here, take this, here's a script and here's, so that led me to Provenance. And so I immediately dived into this software, immediately set that first couple up and was like, you guys are my test, like my guinea pigs. Here you go, work on it. And that brother has already started like formulating the ceremony. So what I love about this software is it's a website, it's a platform, and I can see his like the ceremony coming to life, and I can see exactly like it'll tell you like it's 10 minutes long. I can see his script, but then also as the couple are writing like their vows to one another because they're writing their own vows, you can see that like his vows are like 2 minutes and like humorous, but hers are like 7 minutes and like very sentimental. So then I have to go in and be like, y'all might want to talk to each other and kind of like meet in the middle,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it's like it's very awesome to just one have a little bit of that control as a planner in the background, but also like I just have them sign in, sent them the login information for this platform, and I'm like, here you go, tools, tools, tools. And you don't have to ask me any more questions that I do not know how to answer.
That's exactly it. I'm so grateful and excited that you've had that experience so far. It's certainly our hope that wedding planner can have certainly that control, but also the confidence that this part of the puzzle will be handled well. Our ceremony builder, when you get that final script draft, has automatically embedded within it all the blocking and cues that you would want that officiant to have in mind when they're preparing for the ceremony. So the welcome address being built around cues for the procession, or a reminder for blocking at the end of the ceremony, be like, okay, you're about to pronounce them, get out of the way so the final kiss happens without your smiling face being behind the kiss and all the photos. So all those little tips and tricks that my team and I, everyone member of my team is a licensed officiant themselves. What we have learned throughout our years of doing this, we ensure that everybody using this tool has the benefit of that knowledge and expertise as well, which really gives wedding planners a lot of confidence that the rehearsal will be smooth and on the big day, everything will go off without a hitch.
This is sounding like a better and better idea because so many things are popping into my mind. So, a photographer here, I can't tell you how many times I've seen, and officiants have said this too. Someone who's maybe not experienced in doing this loves the couple, but oh my gosh, they're standing up in front of everyone. Maybe it's the first time they've done this. They have their script, but they don't have those blocking things, and they haven't had the experience of doing this before. And they miss little, seemingly insignificant details like you may all be seated. And I have literally photographed entire ceremonies where every guest was standing because no one told them to sit down. I have actually been the person to tell people with my hands to sit down because the
Waving to
officiant.
officiant.
Yes. Yes. And so that is huge. So just really, really fantastic. I guess yeah. So, okay. So background logistics here. It sounds like wedding planners are one potential client for you. And so it sounds like maybe they can sign up for this service and then provide it for their clients. Is that right?
Exactly. So we have a whole portal for wedding planners where
Okay.
wedding planners can create an account and then sign up all their clients to use this tool in turn. And then through the wedding planner portal, you can go into each of your wedding events and see what the progress is, how the partners started developing their vows. We're a week out and the ceremony is only halfway done. Let's get a move on that. Or here are the 10 people who are giving speeches. We want to make sure that they're all told that you'll have only 2 minutes, and please don't tell that terrible story from that party in college, and make sure that you can actually wrangle together all the speeches for the rehearsal, dinner, and reception. So that's the power the wedding planner has, and or couples can go on and create their own account, of course, to develop their ceremony, their vows, and invite guests to use a test photo.
Okay, awesome. And then in terms of a platform that's usable then by multiple parties. So from what Regina said, it sounds like the partners both have access, but may not have access to all pieces because maybe they want to keep their vows secret from each other.
Certainly.
So that's
So
a thing.
we have really thoughtful privacy controls to ensure that you can develop your vows, but could do so in secret. If you wanted to share it with your officiant, so the officiant give you some feedback, by all means, you can choose to do so. We wanted to make sure that this beautiful tradition of writing your vows privately and sharing on the big day can still be protected, but we were really excited about the way in which we at least share with your partner the relative tone and length so that you can feel confident the vows are balanced. We've all been there in the audience where one partner, as Regina was saying, speaks on and on in a beautiful, sentimental manner, and the other partner is like, tough to follow that act. Here's my 30-second little stammering speech. So at the very least, they know, okay, let me make sure that we can coordinate enough to make sure they feel balanced.
Yes. Oh my gosh, if we could avoid that experience forever and ever, that would be amazing. And then I guess final access question. So wedding planners clearly need access, officiants, the couples, but then is this also shareable to other vendors like myself, photographers, videographers, DJs who could really benefit from seeing this ahead of time so we can plan?
Certainly. Anyone can sign up for an account and have access, can give guests access, and we are working to expand and improve the specific tools we're building for other vendors and the like over time. I'd say right now we are more so geared toward the couple and the wedding planner, but others can certainly create an account too. One thing I love about being in the wedding space, and something I'm so excited to continue to get to know the two of you and build this relationship, just how collaborative the wedding industry is. That there are all these different vendors who are really part of a team to make this event successful. And we see ourselves fitting a piece of the puzzle that really has this critical point of interaction with these other parties. And be it the music cues or whatever else, we want to make sure that the person leading the AV for the ceremony feels confident that the officiant is well coordinated with them in turn as well. So we, in developing this also, I'd say that we've spoken to wedding planners and videographers and the like to make sure that we're developing this in a way that can be seen as easily successful by all parties.
Okay, so I have a question, and this just popped into my head from a bride, like a marrier bride's point of view. So I'm obviously have access to the platform as a planner, but I'm getting married in October, so I've already like pitched this to my
Congratulations.
thank you, but I've pitched this to my fiance for our wedding, but we have a unique situation. Well, not so unique anymore. I've done numerous weddings where there are interfaith weddings, and like we have a Hindu ceremony and then like a Christian ceremony later on in the day, or like in my fiance and I situation, we are having a church ceremony and then an after dark sort of like pagan ceremony. So, do you have the option of doing two ceremonies? Like, can you create multiple ceremonies under one account? Like, if you have multiple ceremonies, multiple officiants, again, we are having like a priest and then like a Wiccan priest. So, like, you be able to like have different ceremonies? And then also, is this in that line? Is this something that can be used for different faiths and faith backgrounds, and like maybe a Jewish ceremony or a Christian, Catholic, pagan, Buddhist, Hindu, any other kind of ceremony?
I love this question. So, nearly 50% of weddings today are interfaith, which is a pretty staggering shift in our culture and our society. So, that means that nearly 50% of weddings today might be Jewish and Hindu, or secular and Catholic, or Wiccan and Christian, or whatever it might be. You have all these different cultures that are coming together in this moment. And correlated with this change of wanting to have friends and family officiate rather than having a specific clergy member, it really does make sense where a couple wants to make sure the ceremony feels authentic to each members of this relationship, as opposed to having a singular representative of either party saying that they're facilitating the ceremony. So it's really critical to us that we allow anybody and everybody to be able to express their unique selves, and also, if they so choose to, pay homage to their family, to their culture, to their religion, to their ethnicity, to whatever it is that they want to bring into this ceremony. So it's actually a really big part of our tool and how it's used. We have a readings and ritual library within our tool that has over 600 entries included within it. And this includes everything from Corinthians to Sheva Berkot to a variety of astrology rituals to quotes from Love Actually or When Harry Met Sally or whatever else it is that you might want to so choose. Some of these were curated by our team, but we also allow for our entire community to contribute passages to that library. And it's been amazing watching this grow over time, where someone says, hey, this is something that I'm really excited to use within my ceremony. I think others would like to use this too, and the library grows as a consequence. It is absolutely critical to us that this library is as broadly accommodating as possible, that it reflects the breadth and diversity of our society. So this is a library that will be forever growing to ensure that we include whatever it is that someone might want to be able to include in their ceremony. So I'd say, most importantly to your question, like, yes, absolutely. We accommodate for a variety of different cultures, and the ability to include whatever it is that represents both you and your partner within your ceremony. So we have definitely seen ourselves a fascinating diversity of combinations and ways in which people have been using that to date. And to your other question, certainly if you want to have multiple ceremonies, we allow you to create multiple events. I'd say most of our couples will, knock on wood, only be getting married once, and we're typically just using the tool once in that way. But we certainly have also officiants who are officiating many wedding ceremonies or thus creating multiple wedding events through the use of our tool.
This is so cool. Really, I just love how you talk about that. I have another logistical question. So if you, let's say, are getting married by clergy or an officiant who's like, no, I got it, I don't need that. But you're having your dad, wedding party members, etc., do toasts, and you would like to introduce them to this tool because you do not want to be embarrassed by said toasts. Is that an option? Is that a way in that even if people aren't using the platform in its entirety, they can still access that helpful toast tool?
Absolutely. So when a wedding planner or a couple or an officiant or whomever creates a wedding event, we have a part of the tool where you can invite your guests to use the toast builder. And in that invitation, we invite the couple to, in the note that we send out to the guests, say, hey, welcome to Provenance. Use this toast builder. It's going to help you pull your thoughts together and make it a lot easier to get your thoughts down on paper. You could also say, as a reminder, I'd really prefer that your toast be kept to 2 minutes. And please don't mention this story, or please do talk about this because I really want you to speak to this facet of our relationship or my child or whatever it might be. The guest will get that toast builder invitation. They'll log in, and the toast builder is a pretty spectacular, powerful tool, like our vow builder and ceremony builder. We ask you a series of questions, and then using artificial intelligence, we help you draft the initial draft of your speech. Now, this is not like using other general artificial intelligence tools because the breadth of questions that we ask you to really get your authentic stories and everything that's genuine to you into the product. And then we just help you simply circumvent that intimidating blinking cursor on a blank page and get started with a quality first draft. And then you can iterate, evolve it, edit it from there. And should you still feel nervous, should you still feel like you really don't quite have it yet, we have professional speechwriters that we can pair you with, be it comedians or White House speechwriters that can help you punch up the speech further and knock it out of the park. And if you're still feeling nervous, we also have public speaking coaches that can help you practice and prepare for the big day.
Sort of thought of everything, haven't you?
Just like you, we're really passionate about this, and we love weddings. We're wedding people, and all we care about is making sure that our couples feel like they have everything they need to really knock this out of the park. And when it comes to the wedding, there's so many facets of the wedding that is so important, and it's hard to say what facet of the entire wedding weekend is what will really leave its mark. But I often feel that it's the speeches that I find to sometimes be the most memorable facets of the weekend that really imbue the weekend with meaning. And when you've put all this time and effort and frankly money invested into this weekend to make it as special as possible, why leave these critical speeches to winging it and being unprepared or just being a little bit thoughtless? Why not prepare for this and customize and personalize it to the same extent you personalize everything else?
Yes, I could not agree more. So that, I'm going to elaborate on that because you do spend so much money and time. The fact that you are getting, say you add a videographer, and I recommend everyone get a videographer. I hate that they're like the luxury thing, the last thought for most weddings, but you get a videographer because you want to, relive those moments and record those important moments. And what are those moments? You're not recording, like you can record a few minutes of like dancing, and you can record like, like your place settings and yada yada, all those sorts of things. But that's what you have a photographer for, to capture those still life moments. What you're hiring your videographer for is to capture the speaking aspects. And so that is your ceremony, your vows, like the act of you getting married, your toasts and speeches at your reception, like all of those moments that you want to hear and play back and see the emotion and all of this. So if you're investing won the money into a videographer to capture these moments, then you should invest the time to make sure that these moments are moments that you want to capture. Like, you don't want to pay for like thousands of dollars for a videographer to capture your best man talking about how you went skinny dipping in college, like so you want to make sure you have those moments. But also, I like to tell couples, you know, this your wedding day is people are coming together on your wedding day. Like, I think you lose the meaning behind getting married and the whole ceremony. I mean, I definitely have a job because, weddings have become these big elaborate things that have all these moving pieces. But at the end of the day, if you break down what your wedding is, you do not need anything but the couple and their officiant and maybe a witness. Like, that is what your marriage is. That's what your ceremony is. And so I tell people all the time, your ceremony is the most important part of the day. People are not coming. Some people are coming to party and dance and, of course, yada yada, but they are coming to see you join your lives together, pledge your lives to one another, and make this commitment in front of them, whatever deities you believe in, and all of your friends and family. So I think if you are going to invest in anything, this ceremony is the most important part, and it needs to have meaning for you. I hate when couples are like, I plan out the day, and people are like, I'm like, all right, so cool. Like, how long is your ceremony going to be? And they're like, oh, maybe like 5 minutes. Like, we don't care about that. We want to get to the party. And I'm like, no, slow down, bro. Like, no.
I certainly agree. This is the whole impetus for the weekend. This is why we're all here, to see the two of you get married. So let's make that wedding itself as thoughtful, intimate, authentic, genuine, personalized as anything and everything else. Otherwise, it's just a party. And it's not just a party, it's a big party, it's an important party. It's a party that we all care about too. I certainly agree. But it is the wedding ceremony that drives the purpose for everyone traveling to this destination to be here for you. So let's make that as thoughtful and as quality as possible. I certainly agree. And regardless of what type of wedding you're having, be it a major luxury wedding, a monster party, or a backyard elopement, in any case, you're still having that wedding ceremony as the central fixture. And we have had couples with weddings of all shapes and sizes that have found value in this tool and designing the wedding ceremony that fits their purposes.
And just to elaborate on that a tiny bit, I mean, part of the specialness of the day and of gathering people is to bear witness and to be born witness. And I think that what Regina was saying about the videographer being there to capture that audio is so spot on. And that audio, the ceremony and the toasts and the speeches and the readings and whatever, is about collectively bearing witness to what makes this relationship special and meaningful. And I know, as someone who's attended a ton of weddings and who's worked a lot even more, there are certain ceremony rituals and speeches, and there are certain toasts that I heard 15, almost 20 years ago that still stick in my brain because they were so special. And there are others that were flaming trash cans of a nightmare that also stick in my memory. And I still feel bad for those couples because what a missed opportunity. So,
Totally.
yeah.
My maternal grandfather passed away before I was born. I never met my mom's father. And recently, my mom sent me the video from their 1985 wedding, which was frankly hilarious and amazing to watch. To see like my aunt and various cousins with the big hair and the big poofy shoulders, a lot of fun to watch. But one of the most meaningful videos I've ever seen in my entire life was getting to watch my maternal grandfather's Father the Bride speech. It was my first time ever hearing his voice. And that's a speech and that's a videographer's work that is one of the most important possessions I have in my life and, lasts beyond generations. So, luckily that speech was a great one. But certainly there were some speeches included within that were not of the same quality that also have lasted now generations. So, certainly to get this right and to have something that you're proud to be everlasting in that way is worth the investment of time.
I want to actually make a comment on that. So just, I'm going back to having access to speeches because I have, and we're talking about great speeches. This ties in, I promise I'm not going off on a tangent a little bit. But so I can think back to a wedding that we had in 2021, Joanna and Mike, Joe Snow's wedding. And it was like this really beautiful, it was their second, the wedding that they were throwing, they were married during the pandemic because Mike's dad had pancreatic cancer and was passing. And so they were essentially throwing this ceremony so that they can, celebrate with their friends and family. And so they really didn't like, those are the situations where I'm like, you really don't have to invest a lot in your ceremony because you're technically already married, but they still chose to make it personable. So they had Joanna's stepdad officiate, and he, literally writes speeches for presidents. Like that's his thing. And he is an advisor for presidents. So they had him, write their speeches. And I will never forget the best man speech. Like this was a situation where we have had situations where best man speech is terrible. And, sometimes I record them and then I'm like, I can't wait to get this off my phone. I'm not even like sending it to the couple because this is terrible. Like I'm just going to delete it. And at that particular wedding, I had 2 back-to-back weddings, and my phone was running out of space. And I was like, oh, I don't want to record this best man speech. And he started talking. And I know, Kate, you probably remember this, but like Brian started talking and I immediately regretted that I did not record his speech. And I so much so that I walked around the wedding asking people if they can send me the speech that they. And so
Yeah.
in that moment, I'm like, I wish I had if I had a tool like this where I could have read it beforehand, I would have been like, this speech is going to be hilarious. I need to make sure that I have that I capture this on video because, this is a moment that they're going to want to relive.
Yeah.
And I should have known, the best man was a writer for the New York Times, so he has a column in the New York Times. I should have known he was a professional writer. It was going to be hilarious. This was just his personality. And it was a missed opportunity for me because one, I wanted to record it just to look back, but also I kept telling him I want to send this to other people to tell them this is what if you're going to go for humor, people have gone for humor and have missed the mark so badly. And his humor was spot on. And then he brought in the sentimental, mentioning the dad who had passed and, all of it. So he started with humor and then just ended it so beautifully. And it was perfect. And I was like, I want to replicate this and send this out to all of the best men of the world. So
Yeah.
I think having a tool where I could have read this and been like, make sure that you record that speech because it's going to be good. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
So our tool would certainly give the wedding planner that foresight because you would see these drafts before game time. So definitely you would have that forethought, but in that preparation. But also say I love that story because we've all been to weddings where a single toast can make that person the hero of the weekend. We've also certainly been to weddings where a single toast goes off the rails and can be a huge downer for the weekend, can ruin a bride's weekend because she's so upset that groomsman number 3, spoke in that way in front of her family and embarrassed her, right? That absolutely has happened. So providing some guardrails to ensure that more and more of these speeches can be in that same way is absolutely one of the goals.
Yeah, I think it's obvious that Regina and I are fully behind you in that mission. So tell us a little bit about the actual, bread and butter use of the thing. It sounds like it's an online platform, and is it an app as well?
So it is an online web app. So we have our website, provenance.co, where you could go on and create your account, create your wedding, invite your partner, your wedding planner, your officiant, your guests, whomever, or if you're a wedding planner, invite all the critical parties. And then develop your wedding ceremony together. The tool is built for collaboration. It's also built so that if you want to just unilaterally go build out the entire wedding ceremony yourself, you certainly can do so. It's live now. It's been live for a few months. We've had thousands and thousands and thousands of couples already using it to incredible effect, and it's growing rapidly as a consequence. So we're really, really excited about it so far.
Amazing. I just have a quick follow-up question. If you are not the couple, but you are a guest who's been asked to make a speech or do a reading and you're choosing the reading or whatever, if you're anyone who's not the couple who would benefit from using this website, can you go on and like tell me how you might do that if you're not the main folks?
Absolutely. The first question we ask when you sign up is, what is your role in the wedding? Are you the marrying couple? Are you a guest? Are you the officiant? Are you a wedding planner or the like? And then we create a custom experience just for you. So regardless of if anybody else in your wedding is using this tool, or if everybody in the wedding is using this tool, you will still be able to access it and use it for your own benefit. So we have guests who are signing up by themselves to work on a maid of honor speech. We have couples who are signing up every member of their wedding party to do the same. They're all able to access it and use it themselves.
Okay, so and then are there different, and I know a little bit of the answer to this, but are there different like tiers, packages, services that go along with your role or how many events that you have? Say you're an
Mm.
officiant and or a wedding planner who has multiple couples, and so you will be using this every weekend of wedding season, maybe, or versus if you are a couple and you're just signing up for yourself and wanting like your folks in
So
VIP
our
access.
Certainly. So our toast builder is entirely free, be it signing up yourself to use it, or if you're signing up an entire wedding party to use it, that is free for everybody. We do charge today for the vow builder and the ceremony builder, or the package of the two. It's a small nominal fee today. Of currently $19.99 for the vow builder and $29.99 for the ceremony builder. $39.99 for the pair together as a bundle. And if you would like to use a speechwriter or a public speaking coach, that is an added premium fee above that. But otherwise, we're trying to build quality tools that are easy and accessible to as many people as possible. With weddings being so outrageously expensive today, we've really wanted to be thoughtful about developing this in a way that allows us to cover the costs of providing the service, of course, but also is as accessible and as providing more value than the cost to as many couples as possible.
Well, that seems insanely affordable. And as, someone who's part of the high cost of a wedding, I just know how much money people spend on every other facet. And to have something that can be so incredibly significant be an afterthought when there is a product like yours available for $40 or whatever seems insane to me that people would not use this.
Yes, I really appreciate that. We certainly hope to be a no-brainer piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. So can you just tell us, I mean, you've been sort of weaving this through, but who is your ideal client and who are you perfect for as a business and as an offering?
So there are 2.4 million weddings every year in the United States, and I'm hopeful that we can provide value to every single one of those. And this is, as we were discussing earlier, regardless of the size of your wedding, where your wedding is, what faiths you bring into the table, and how you want to construct it, this is something that we're all doing. And I want to make sure that everybody has the tools and the guidance needed in order to ensure that their wedding ceremony is of the highest quality, but is also personalized, customized, unique to every single couple. So I would say that this is relevant for every wedding that's happening today. And we found couples of broad diversity finding similarly incredible value from this tool. So I would definitely say that our primary users to date tend to be the couple preparing for their wedding ceremony and preparing their vows. And we are continuing to evolve and improve our tool for their use. And certainly officiants are finding a lot of help and value from this too.
Okay.
And I'd also, I guess, further elaborate that accommodating for diversity is a critical value of ours as well. So every facet of the tool, regardless of your ethnicity, cultural background, sexual orientation, gender identity, whoever you are, whoever your partner is, this tool was designed to make it so you can express your authentic self.
Love that. Love it. Cate and I both have very diverse clientele, and our clientele tend to be non-heteronormative, not like minority couple, like all of the above. So I love that. I want to ask a question. I normally ask tips and advice for couples planning their wedding, but I want to like shift a little bit. I will ask that. But do you have, as someone who's officiated weddings, do you have any sort of advice for the officiant listening who's like, oh my gosh, I am going to sign up for the service. I have to officiate my sister's wedding, my brother's wedding, my best friend's wedding. And I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm nervous. I'm not a public speaker. I just all the things. So can you give us a little bit of advice? And I'm asking also for me because I have become ordained as a wedding planner. I'm like, if an officiant doesn't show up, I need to be able to jump in there and get this couple married, but I have no idea what I'm doing. So like, you know, what would you tell me if I was like, I gotta freaking officiate this wedding? Like, what am I doing?
Too funny. So by the way, you should be prepared just in case. I have been to a wedding where the officiant was a judge that the family knew. He was an older gentleman. I guess he was taking an afternoon nap, and he missed the shuttle from the hotel to the ceremony. So there was like one of those crisis moments, like the "is there a doctor on a plane" like type of moment of "is there a licensed officiant in the crowd?" And I was moments away from being drafted in to give like a last minute wedding ceremony. So who knows? It could happen. But certainly we have a breadth of tips and tricks that we have curated, most of which are embedded within the tool itself. I was mentioning earlier how we have cues and blocking and the like, so that regardless of whether or not you've done any research beforehand, you'll see in the wedding ceremony script that you print out our own recommendations of ask everyone to please rise if they're able to, ask everyone to please be seated here, make sure you get out of the way here, how the couple hold hands so the photos look better during the ring exchange. Like all those little tips and tricks we have embedded in the tool itself. I'd say that in preparing, there's also a breadth of tips that we certainly recommend, be it make sure you get the correct phonetic pronunciation of any family members that you're thanking or commemorating. Make sure that you print out the speech and hold it in some sort of, I suggest like a leather portfolio or the like, as opposed to reading from your phone, just to make it look of that higher premium quality. I think that one critical facet that all officiants should really keep in mind, and this is an area where unfortunately I sometimes see people forget, and it feels obvious, but it really is critical, that the ceremony is distinct from any other speech of the wedding weekend. I'd say that if you're giving a groomsman, bridesmaid style speech, you are ideally speaking to the party that you are closer with for about 60 to 70% of the time, and speaking about the other partner or about their relationship for the remainder. For the wedding ceremony, it really should be 50-50 and perfectly balanced to reflect both partners and their relationship. And sometimes you see people who don't quite remember that, particularly if they're a family member of either party. So we really push, and our tool enables you to ensure that it has that equal balance, frankly, down to the word count of really balanced about each party. So we really aim to ensure that. There's certainly other little tips too that are more logistical, be it getting ordained at least a month or so out, making sure you get the marriage license signed and submitted within 24 hours after the ceremony, often immediately after the ceremony. And we have all of that within our site. In addition to all of our tools, we have what we call the Inspiration Library on our website, where our team of experienced officiants have been writing articles for months that give you a breadth of guides and tips and tricks to help you on your good day.
All right. Well, I'm convinced, which is something I don't always say about a service that's new to me. Where can people find you? And I am literally writing this down for my own purposes.
Please do. We are provenance.co. provenance.co. And you also find us on social, on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, etc. at Our Provenance. And we're live, we're available, we're being used at broad scale, and excited to help anybody and everybody we possibly can.
Awesome. Yes, and your
Yes.
social media is, I will say, is popping. Like you guys are doing it.
Appreciate that. Our
yeah.
our marketing team is amazing, and they have been cranking out some incredible and really helpful content.
Yes, I love it. I'm just like, I would occasionally like social media, like deep scroll. I'm like, let me watch the videos and catch up. I do want to ask you one last question because this is like my, like, I ask it of all vendors, but especially as someone who has officiated weddings and done a ton of weddings and, you know, this very important part of the wedding ceremony. Um, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a couple listening who is planning their wedding? If you were going to tell them overall wedding planning piece of advice, if you could say one thing, what would it be?
I have so many things I would like to say. But I would say that, and where we really come in, and our whole thesis here is the most important thing about this weekend is authenticity, and of it reflecting your genuine self. There are a lot of ways to do a big wedding that's showy, that looks good on Instagram, but what really matters is that this authentically reflects your truth, your relationship, yourself. And the more authentic the wedding weekend feels, I think the better time your guests will have as well. And the more everyone will leave being like, that was their wedding and that was so them. And I think we often get caught up in the ostentatious show of it all and certain vanity pursuits and, trying to make the thing showy and impressive in certain respects. The more it feels like it authentically reflects yourself, the more that everyone will leave feeling, okay, that was a special, unique weekend. That really was their wedding and their wedding alone. And only they could have done this. I think the speeches are one great avenue to allow your authenticity to really shine. But there are plenty of other choices you make throughout the weekend that reflect yourself. And in this day and age, I think it becomes all too easy to get caught up in whatever the trends are, whatever else that everybody else is doing. But the more you do the wedding exactly the way that you want it, the more you'll enjoy it yourself too. And at the end of the day, if you're not having a fun time doing it, then what's the point?
Love that.
I know. I'm really wowed by this. I'm just having an authentic reaction, and I'm actually going to share it on a story, which I literally never do because I do think so many weddings and couples would benefit from this tool. So thank you so much for this work that you do and this thing that you've brought into the world. And I really love your mission. Is there anything else that you really want people to know about Provenance that we have not talked about?
Nothing left to add. We've covered a lot of ground today, but Regina and Cate, thank you so much for having me on. And in addition to this conversation, I'm really excited to work with the two of you to help support your couples and help ensure that hopefully your jobs will be a bit easier and helping to deliver what we're all hoping for in that incredible wedding weekend. So it's great to meet you both, and I'm really excited to work with you and to the rest of your audience as well to ensure that every wedding can be just as special.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great.